Hi, welcome back. So I watched The Batman on the weekend, and I am just one thing I can say that I took away from the whole film. A massive comic book nerd, if you didn't know already. And the one thing I took away though was Zoe Kravitz's makeup, and her skin was unreal. I've actually sort of been really inspired now to sort of recreate that whole vibe. And especially, I saw her campaign for Wonderland, that sort of really fresh spa skin, but a little bit grungy on the eyes. Oh, so I'm going to recreate that sort of vibe. Not exactly, but I'm going to create that sort of feeling about, I love it. Okay, let's get started. The whole look is that her skin just looks so glowy and so just like good skin. And so we're going to create that. Now I'm prepping my skin with some moisturizer. We want to make sure that skin is nice and hydrated. This is a sort of look where it's like the glowier the better. But again, we still want to find that sweet spot of being glowy versus being shiny. So I've prepped my skin. I've used my Epiderm cream, which I always use. It's just a cream that works for me. So I've popped that on. Now I'm going to just put a light layer of a tinted moisturizer. I'm using the Code 8 Radiance. It's like a tinted moisturizer style product. And I'm going to just buff that all over the skin. We're just lightly evening the tone out on this. I don't want my skin to be full of product. The whole point of this look is that it looks like she's not wearing makeup at all, but she clearly is because of obviously the grunginess around her eyes and things like that. But on the skin, it looks very much no makeup. So we're just adding some radiance to the face. Even if, so my skin is really good at the moment, but even if you say you've got textured or acne skin or scarring, you still want to focus on this glowy radiance. You're actually better off letting those things shine through a little bit more, because if you cover them, you're going to completely negate from the whole point of the look. So it's going to be one of those looks where, yes, if you have a good clear base to begin with, it's going to look more like it. But even if you struggle with acne, even with things like this, we just target them very precisely in those areas with coverage, but we don't want to put the coverage everywhere. We want the skin to show through. We actually want those little imperfections to shine through, and we'll just deal with the like high priority bits afterwards. I'm now going to go in with a highlighter. I cannot tell you what this product is because it's something I'm working on. I'm very sorry. But it is another sort of radiance boosting type product. And I'm going to really, can you see, just add that into the skin. Just to add that super spa-like radiance and glow. This product doesn't have any glitter or anything in it. It's literally just there to add radiance. I honestly, this is a long process, so it's not anytime soon, but I cannot wait until it is ready, because as you can see, look at that. Fresh radiance. And I'm actually going to pop this on quite a few areas. So I'm going to put it on the bridge of my nose, on here as well. We want to be super glowy everywhere for this look. That is the whole point of the look. Okay, now we're done that, I'm going to go into the brows. Her brows are super bushy and brushed, but they're not in like a laminated style. They are brushed up. So what I'm going to do when I find what I'm looking for, I'm going to brush the brows up, and hers are very, very full, and they're almost bushy and straight. So we're going to go in with our pen, our brow pen. I'm using the Glossier Brow Flick, and we're going to go in as I normally would. So fill in the bulk of the brow with this pen. It's like power brows, but not like Cara Delevingne power brow. It's sort of just natural bushy brow. So we're just going to make sure that they are nicely filled in, but there's no element of definition to them. We don't want them to look like there's product in them. We just want them to look naturally full with product. Naturally full without product, but obviously using product. And we just want to keep combing through just to see where any gaps show through, just to fill those in. Being super light-handed with this product. And then what we're going to do actually is we're going to actually bring it a little bit further down in the center bit here, because her brow does dip in where there's excess of like the hairs. And also this is going to create that sort of drag upwards to create that feline effect. She's got a lot of bushiness going on in the center here. And then it really straightens off and up on the edge. So normally what I would say is to not concentrate too much product in this area here, but for her brows, she does have a lot more of a central heavy brow. So we're going to only accentuate it a little bit more, obviously not too much that it imbalances your face shape or how you would feel comfortable wearing them. For me, I'm not used to putting a lot of product in this area, so I'm only just slightly elevating it more. I could probably put more on to make it a lot more Zoe like specific. I completely lost my words then, as I normally do. But I'm not going to, because again, we want to adapt this to you and make it as an inspiration rather than a direct copy. So I'm quite happy with how I've done that now. They are to a level which I'm happy with, so they look naturally a little bit more bushy. Again, my brows are already bushy and they're already like full, but they are bushier to the sort of level that meets the criteria for this kind of style of look. I'll probably go in later and do more with that, but for now I'm going to leave them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and smoke and grunge the eyes. I'm going to go in with a pencil. This is the Morphe Trend Setter. You can use this as a lip liner as well, but I'm going to use this as my base for my eyes. And I'm going to just smudge this all over the lid. We don't need to be neat about this because we're going to go in and then smudge that into the eye. I used to, and I still do, but I used to absolutely kill for these looks, these proper smudged looks, almost like rock and roll. Oh my gosh, I used to live for them. I used to wear them all the time. I don't know why I stopped. Maybe it's time to bring it back. Thank you, Zoe, for doing that. Well, Zoe's makeup artist, but we are really intensifying that sort of smudginess in the eye. We don't need it to be perfect. We are not, this is the whole point of the look, is that it's grungy, it's messy. So don't worry too much about that. The reason why I've chosen this Morphe pencil specifically is because it smudges really nicely and also gives that perfect sort of worn in look on the eye already, which is what we're going for. I'm just drawing it on the lid. We're not drawing it into the crease or into the shape we want, because if we do that when we then go to blend it out, it will then be a hell of a lot more exaggerated. With this, we are literally just using our thumb, and when we're blending up into the crease, can you notice that I'm actually blending inwards rather than going up and out? So even when I come to the edge here, I'm blending it out a little bit, but I'm dragging it back in to finalize that blend. This is so you don't drag the product out too far, because then it will look more like a black eye than a smoky. So, and don't worry about these bits here, because we're going to tidy that up later, which is why I've not put concealer on just yet. But we're smoking that in. Look at that. So we could probably blend a little bit more into this area here. So I'm going to just pop a little bit there, and then we're going to smudge that in to where the bridge of the nose starts. Can we see we've just created that little bit of a definition into the eye? Same on this side. And smudge that. These pencils are so soft and easy to smudge for this look. Look at that. Now again, this is just an inspiration. Like, this is like a inspired look. It's not the exact style, but the whole point is that, again, it's grungy. It's sort of that type of smoky look where you're very aware it's makeup, but it still looks like it's like coming from within the skin. Like, if her eyes were this pigmented naturally, this is what it would look like with no makeup on. That's the look that we're going for. I'm going to just use our fingers and really blend that out there. Again, the more you try to concentrate about making this perfect, the harder you're going to make it for yourself. As you can see, what I'm doing is I'm literally just smacking it on, blending it, and just not hoping for the best, but just letting it naturally flow. Let the pigments smudge organically where they would as you're rubbing it into the eye. if you even look at the Wonderland makeup look and you actually see it closely, you'll see actually that it's not perfect. It's not, you know, perfectly blended into oblivion. It's got rough edges and it's got those sorts of hallmarks, like traits of like that grungy smoky eye. So as you can see, nice and smoked out there. So we've got that elongated shape here. We've really smudged it. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to just pop a little bit more here and press that in because we want more intensity. So I'm going to press it rather than rubbing it aggressively, just to create some definition at the edge of the lash line. And then we're going to do it underneath the eyes. So again, we're going to really smudge that in. I'm going to go in the waterline as well. I've literally not even used a brush for this. This is literally all about it being almost like finger painting style. Now, obviously, if you're applying this on someone else, you will probably need to use brushes. You can't just get in there, you know, like start poking your eye in. But for yourself, you can really get in there and just smudge it out like so. How are we looking? Nicely done. Okay. Okay, so I can see in the look that there's a little bit of a sparkle shimmer in the center of the eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tiny little bit. I'm going to use the Kaya Cosmetics palette here, and I'm going to use this color here. And this is the Golden Bronze palette. And I'm going to just touch it with my finger. Again, all finger painting style. I'm just going to lightly press that into the center of the eye, like so. So we've just created that little element. Obviously, you don't want this to be too gold. You want this to be as close to the color of the pencil as possible. And this one's quite like a neutral, like it looks almost green, but it's not. Well, it's got a slight green flecks to it, but not enough to register unless you put it on top of a green. We could have gone for this one, but that would have added too much of a color tone, and we don't want it to look very much worn into the eye. So as you can see, I feel like maybe this tone that I've chosen works really well because of the olive in my skin tone. So it really blends into my skin tone like a natural tone. So it registers more natural because those green undertones in the shadow, well, the green shift, it's still very much a cool brown, but it's got a little green fleck to it. It blends in with the olive. But say, for example, if you've got a warmer undertone, find one which basically you're finding a color tone which matches the pencil, but also is exactly in line with the tone of your skin as well to really look invisible. Can we see? Super smoked and grungy. Oh, I love it. Okay, so now I'm going to pop some mascara on, lashings of mascara. Now I'm going to go in with some concealer. Now I'm going to use that to tidy up the eyes and also conceal and perfect the skin. So I'm using the KVD Good Apple concealer, and I'm going to use a fluffy brush to do this. Again, we want to keep it as light as possible still. And if we use a flat brush or a brush which presses in, it might create too much density. In this, we very much want to sweep it in. We still want the skin to look like it's got no makeup on it. But we obviously want to brighten up in areas that maybe we want a little bit less darkness in. And also just to use it just to tidy up the edges of this eye shape. So can you see I'm just using it to almost push the eyeshadow into place rather than being precise with where we place the eyeshadow. I'm using the concealer to tidy that shape up for me. Can we see how much more defined that side is compared to this side? And again, small amounts. We want to keep a little bit of the darkness around the eyes. We don't want to completely eradicate it because we'll completely negate from the look. So we're just using it to stain a little bit of pigment in, just to tidy it up. Just think of it as like, you know, if we're approaching it like hair, this is more of a balayage style of concealer, which is softer and, you know, it's a little bit more organic into the hair, or in this case, skin, rather than like foiled highlights, which are obvious like lines in that sense. We want it to look like it's just dissolved into the skin. And if we use a sharp line on here, it would just look too defined. So, can you see? I almost want to even exaggerate the darkness just around here, just to create more of a feline shape. There. Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'm going to use a brush for this just to be a little bit more precise, just to... I'm still using quite a fluffy brush. just to, let me see, soften that out. Yeah. Oh, definitely. That's sort of even almost that point where it looks slightly unblended. That's the look we're going for. I'm just going to pop a little bit more in here just to create almost like if you were in a room full of smoke and like the soot was left on your face. That's the style that we're going for here. Oh yeah, definitely. I'm obsessed with this style of look. Oh, I love it. Look at that. Like, it just looks like someone's shoved me down a chimney, which is essentially the look I am going for. Okay, so rest of the skin, we're going to put a bit more concealer. We're going to use the same approach with under the eyes. We're going to use a fluffy brush, and I'm going to just go around the areas where we want to just add a little bit more coverage. So around the nose, I get a little bit of redness. I don't want to cover the freckles on my nose because that actually adds to the look. If you see Zoe's skin, you see that, you know, those natural freckle elements shine through. Her skin almost, it looks flawless, but it looks textured. Like, it's still got that natural texture in the skin, and it's very apparent that they've not tried to smooth. I mean, her skin's flawless, so that's why. But the whole point is that it still shows that natural texture in the skin. So we're just going in on areas that maybe read more acne or more pimples or that vibe rather than natural texture. I mean, it is natural texture, but like spa, flawless skin texture. So I'm just going in and just perfecting that there. I'm going to pop a bit of bronzer in the skin now just to create some definition. I'm using the Kaya Cosmetics foundation in the darker shade. That suits me as a bronze shade. This isn't going to be too warm, and we're going to completely saturate the brush. And we're going to just place that in the areas that we want to add some bronze. For me, it's on the side of my temples because of my heart-shaped face. On the cheekbone, we want to really enhance that cheekbone. So we want to actually place that bronzer on top of the cheekbone to create that lifted look. If we put the bronzer underneath, what we'll do is we'll just enhance the contour and the natural bone structure that I have, which is good, but what it'll do is it will just intensify that depth, which will push that inwards, which will then push the cheekbone out. I don't want to do that. I want to lift the cheekbone, so I want to create the illusion that that line is actually higher up. So when we're placing it, we're actually placing it almost onto the cheekbone to create that lift in the face, like so. Drag a little bit of that bronze down the sides of the nose and up into the bridge. The beauty of this look is that everything just sort of molds and meshes into each other perfectly. You see how rough I'm being with it. Like, I'm just going, throw it on. The more you concentrate with this look, and again, as I said with the eyes, the more you try to make everything perfectly blended in place, the harder you are going to have with creating this look. It needs to be just, everything is so light in consistency and in texture that you shouldn't have much of a problem blending it in, because you're using sheer style products and you're applying them on very, very sheerly. Nothing should be going on with an extreme amount of pigment with this look. So we've added some bronze. We've done that. I don't really feel like there's any blusher in this look, and like her whole vibe isn't very blushery, so I'm not going to actually put blusher in, because I think, again, that would just take away from the look. And as much as I love blush, I want to stay as true as I possibly can with this. And because she looks like she's got no makeup on, we want to still have that feeling of no makeup, which would not involve a blusher. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually enhance more of the freckles. Her skin, again, has more of those freckles showing. So I'm going to use my brow pen that I use very lightly, and I'm going to just press that in to the skin just to add that little element of extra texture to the skin. Not enough for it to read as like an actual freckles look, just enough just to add those little bits of, like, almost like you're adding grain, that filter grain to your skin or to your photo, but like to your skin directly. That's what her skin feels like in these photos and in the film, and oh, stunning. I'm adding a little bit more highlight just in the areas where the light is naturally hitting, just to create more glow, because why not? I really think it adds to the look for sure. Ooh. Yeah, and more. She's got a lot more highlight actually on the temples as well, so we're going to add just a little bit here, and also a lot more here too. She's just a glowy queen. She's just radiance in a bottle. We are not using powders to do this. It's a big no. Okay, so we've done that. Now, maybe registering a little bit shiny, so we want to just powder down in areas that are just really reading as that shine. I'm going in with a very light brush. Like this has, you know, it's like a detailer highlighter brush, but it's very, very fluid in its bristles. It's not dense at all. And I'm using the Laura Mercier honey powder. And we want to just take away the shine maybe in this area here only, to be honest. And just a little bit on the center of the forehead. We don't need to be shiny there, because we've got all the other elements doing all the hard work for us. Maybe a bit less on the chin. But again, tiny, tiny, tiny amount. It almost doesn't even register. Yeah, that's the perfect amount. We still want to, normally for a look I would powder like this whole area, but she does look very glowy and we want to keep that. So this is a lot more shiny than I would wear it myself, but for the look. Okay, I lied when I said I wouldn't use blush. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use the Refi Cream Bronzer as a blush, because this is a very good blush color for me for that type of look. And I'm going to use just a tiny, tiny amount. I'm knocking it back off my hand. I'm just going to press that. It's almost like a more of a bronzy blush, this color for me. Yeah, I feel like that. I felt like something was missing in my skin, and this was it. I wanted to add that element of bronzy blusheriness. Yeah, I think that's it. That's what I was missing. We found it, team. We're good. Yeah, that's perfect. It's just subtle, tiny, tiny details make such a big difference with this look. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the Refi Brow Sculpt. I'm going to just use that just to feather this center bit here, a little bit there, and I'm going to just use that just to lift the rest of the brow up, like so. A lot of people have issues with this product. They find it goes white. If you put enough pressure on, yes, it will. If you use it very lightly like so, you won't. It's all about how you use a product as well as the product itself. So I'm using that just to press up that bit there and then straighten off the rest of it. I'm not using this to create like a brow lamination. I'm using it just to feather the brows a little bit. Actually, that's a little bit too feathered there. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to go in and finalize the brows, because by brushing these up, it's actually taken away a lot of the thickness I wanted, and we want more thickness. So I'm going to let that dry in place and come back to it. So what I've done is I've just gone back in with the brow pen and I've just intensified the brows a bit further. So let's go with the lips. Now, Zoe's lips are super defined. Her Cupid's bow is really defined. And also they're very, very full. So we're going to recreate that. And I don't have the same fullness as she does, but I do have the definition, so it's a little bit easier for me to recreate that. But if you have a soft, or you don't have a defined line, as I do, can you see where you can see the shadow and actually creates the definition of my lip shape? If you don't have that, just go in and recreate that with lip liner. Yeah, just sharpen up the edge and just draw it in. But for me, I'm going to just put mine just in the shadow area. I'm using a nude lip liner. I'm using 1993 by Urban Decay. It's my favorite lip liner. And I'm just going over the top of where that shadow is. Again, everything still feels no makeup, but makeup. Everything feels like it's makeup that's been stained into the skin over like a week. That's the look we're going for. There are no hard lines in this look, none at all. If you see any hard lines when you're doing this, you're recreating it, get your finger and just smudge over it. We don't want that hardness here. I'm gonna just draw the liner, just smudge it into the outer edges of the lip and leave the center with no lipstick. We're gonna just put a gloss over this. I'm gonna use Fenty Glow to do this, because I feel like this is the perfect color for this look. I'm just going to swipe that all over to really create that glossiness. And there it is. So super fresh skin, but grungy. I've been shoved in the chimney and then, oh no, wrong way around. I've gone to a spa and then I have glided down a chimney chute and created this smoked feline Catwoman Zoe Kravitz style makeup. So yeah, this is the finished look. But yeah, if you like this, please do give a thumbs up and write in the comments if you like this, if you're going to recreate this. Also, I am posting a lot more regularly lately, so if you want to see more, please do subscribe, blah, 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 blah. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.